feel like I'm hearing double sounds. What's up, everybody? Maybe it's the track. And it was the track. Okay. All right, everyone. A lot has changed lately. Not enough, though. Thank you, Yako. I agree. It's an eye. Shave would be funny, though. There will be no games today. And let's just start it off by saying that I won't be answering as many of the usual questions that you guys ask, or even new people to the chat. It's not the day. It's not the day, but I welcome you back another time. My goal here today is to inspire and educate. If you have a problem with the statement "end white silence," if you have a problem with the statement "Black Lives Matter," with the sentiment "Black Lives Matter," with the movement, I implore you to look in. Dive deep into your soul. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. I know I'm very monotone and it can come off that way. But I implore you to ask yourself why. Why does that make you so uncomfortable? And imagine the pain, the discomfort that Black people and people of color have had to deal with in this country and around the world because of our system. It's very hard for me not to use anecdotal stories to get people to relate. So I might pause at times because it's really personal for me too. So it's a lot of what's happening. I reflect back and I say, and I want to tell you guys stories, but this isn't about me. This isn't about me today. Maybe one day, but today it's not about me. So you might see me get flustered or try to avoid that, because I am trying to avoid that. You might have seen on social media that people were doing something called Blackout Tuesday, but it kind of backfired. It was also an attempt by the music industry, which also doesn't fully support and rarely has supported many artists, and especially Black artists. So there's a lot of confusion over it. And a lot of people were saying, you know, today we're not going... I'm allowing that. Today we're not going to promote ourselves. And today we're not going to talk about other things than justice. And I'm totally fine with those two things. But I felt like it did not go off the way it should have. I saw it at midnight, or no, I saw it at 1 a.m. last night because I was up scrolling on my phone looking at the violence perpetuated by the police across the country, and I couldn't sleep, and the noise of the helicopters around my neighborhood, I couldn't sleep. Anyways, there I go, talking about me. I'm fine with Blackout Tuesday if it means we are lifting up Black people. And so that is my aim here today. My aim is to discuss what we can do, specifically as white people, because this is our burden as well. This is our burden. And it is up to us to educate each other. Yeah, the violence is not currently being perpetuated by the police. I hope you understand this. Okay, let's watch a clip, because you know what I did today? I spent the entire day gathering resources and evidence, waiting for an ignorant comment like that. Because across the country, peaceful protesters are being stopped. They're being attacked. So don't come out here with nonsense. And my other goal today is to not show too much of this, because I don't know about some of you, but I've spent far too much time in the last few days looking and viewing and consuming, terrifying images, terrifying videos. So I only copied 3 here, and I have a list on my phone. And as I started to transfer the list to my phone, to the stream, I decided, you know what? I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on what we can do to move forward, because that's all we're looking at, right? What's been happening around the country is people are peacefully protesting, and police officers continue to fire rubber bullets. They've blinded a woman, continue to fire tear gas. They fired tear gas into a crowd that was on its knees. They fired tear gas on the steps of a church, gassing the clergy. So here we go. I have one more window. Let's go to the top. At a certain point, I had to stop because I was gathering this list all day long. And I had to stop at some point to start talking about it with you guys. So first thing I wanted to do, here we go. Maybe I should turn the music off though. I'm gonna do that. Or down. Okay, so this one is from Okay, here we go. We're gonna give you 2 looks. pulling up chat over here. 1 second. If I remember correctly, actually, this one is... No, it did not freeze. I was just looking. Okay, here we go.
I feel the pain. I feel the pain of black people. I feel the pain of white people. I feel the pain of innocent cops. I feel the pain. We're all scared. Black, white, cop, doesn't matter. We're all scared. We're living in fear. You gotta stop living in fear. I am not your enemy. You are not my enemy. We have to share this land no matter what. By the end of the day, we have to share this land no matter what. I'm here for you. I'm here with you.
You can't hear him?
I'm not angry at none of you. I love...
Let me put a gain on it. It is a Twitter video. I'm going to put a filter on it. Ooh, there already is one. Okay.
All of y'all. I don't care if you 5'2". I don't care if you're a 7-footer. I don't care if you're dark skinned. I don't care if you're light skinned. I don't care if you're white.
He's basically pleading, if you guys can't hear it. Here's the actual video if you want to see it now or later. I want to understand all of you is what he just said.
I would love to come to your house. I would love to meet your kids. I would love to meet your family. I would love to see the best side of everybody here. This is not the best side of everybody here. I would love to see the best side of everybody here. Then you can change the whole perspective of how you view someone. Because of their size. Because of how you see them in different lights. Someone might have a bad day and you say they're a bad person. No, no, no. We all got bad days. We all got bad days. We gotta stop judging people only on our bad days. Because we all have them to some degree. How are you on your good days? Do you want to make a stand? Do you want to make a change? Because if we charge you and you charge us, what is that really doing? What is that really doing?
Come on, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Fuck you! Fuck you! What the fuck did you do?
Explain this to me.
Are you fucking kidding me?
For what? For what?
Freedom of speech! No! What are you doing? This is unconstitutional. You're speaking.
Okay. And now let's compare that with this. Side by side. No tear gas, no rubber bullets. This is unrelated. And look how they treat these people. So, big difference, isn't it? That first clip I showed you wasn't even the violence. I don't want to show this on stream yet because I don't want to get into something on Twitter by accident. So I'm going back to this. I'm going to open it on another window first to make sure I have the right thing loaded. Not only can you go all over social media and see, wow, how perfect, what perfect timing. Okay. Not only can you see the violence perpetuated by the police onto peaceful protesters. What the hell is this song? Sorry. It's right there for you. So saying it's not, it doesn't exist, just go away with that. Okay. So those were just a side by side to see how they treat people differently. Those people being black people or allies standing up for a cause versus white people standing up for causes that generally only benefit them. So let's see. Here we go. Okay, here's the one I want to show you guys. This is Seattle. This is Seattle. This is not the media, by the way. These are actual people filming this. Recording it. So you're telling me that there's no violence from the police? We could go on, but like I said, that's not my intention today. And just watching these things over and over is not going to solve anything. There was something I was watching really late last night of a guy who was here. This is a guy on a rooftop, but there was a guy in the crowd close up. And I thought I saved the link and I can't find it. So it was showing this view next to the other guy, both peaceful protesters, and showing the police reacting with violence. Did I see the clip of the white lady spray painting a building and the cops just watching, then telling her what to write? I did. I saw that. I believe it was yesterday. We'll watch that one if you guys didn't see. And then we'll get out of this and actually talk about solutions. That was where I have that one, because I replied to somebody that posted it, so I know I could find that one. There's also photos and videos of cops loading their trucks with bricks. Why? To hand out, to instigate violence. Where am I going? Okay, tweets and replies. Okay, here we go. They were not taking the bricks away, and you're a fool if you believe that. They were supplying them to infiltrators. Just like they instigated and watched and instructed this white woman on what to spray paint. Just hanging out while she did it. Antifa is responsible for every one of these stagings and you eat it up. So you're saying police are Antifa? What are you saying? No. Wrong, dude. These are cops watching a woman do this. So there you go. Here's this link if you guys want to watch that again and listen closely, because I know I watched that video quite a few times. I've seen videos of cops smashing their own cruisers just to say the violence is escalating. I've seen the same exact video as well. I have as well. So those are just a few examples. I posted it. It's right there. The mayors tell them not to arrest anyone who is not violent. The mayors, my biggest problem is that they continue to focus on the looting, which I don't agree with, but I understand where this comes from and where it stems from. They love to focus on that, but they never call out the actions and violence of the police. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being anti-fascist. You can be anti-fascist and not be a part of Antifa. Not hating, but this is a little biased. Please explain how. Hi, LT. I hope you're doing all right. Generational racism is learned and unlearned through compassion. Don't get it twisted that racism exists in Canada too. As a minority Canadian, that's what's up. As ask our Indigenous if they have drinking water. This is a race issue happening everywhere. Define a shite protest. Define that. Exercising your right as an American to protest cannot be considered shite. You might not agree with it. A peaceful protest brings people together. It's about a collective spirit. It's about showing people that we can stand together and going against the establishment. I'm not talking about rioting. Stop saying rioting. Stop talking about looting. I'm not talking about those things. I understand that's what many of you are seeing, but take a look, turn off Fox News. Take a look at what's happening to people in the street. The mainstream media continues to push a very myopic narrative about what's actually happening. What does this clapping do? It prevents me from not cussing because I don't cuss on my stream. That's what it does. So it's helping me not rage. The rioting and looting is a big part of the protesting. You want to ignore all the people that are dying. Never said that. But people, more often than not, are only showing that as an example. They're only referring to that. They're not seeing the people on the street protesting peacefully. Protesters are not looters. Thank you. Exactly. No. You guys can delete that shooting comment. No. Absolutely not. There's not a single video that you showed where police are violent, only the people that are protesting, instigating. Did you not just watch it? I told you at the beginning of this stream, I'm not going to focus on watching videos, rewatching the violence, because I've seen way too much of it in the past few days. We just watched one. I will link you to it if you want to see it again. I will send, and I've been sharing things on social media. But dude, stop. And you're blocked. You're blocked. Bye-bye. Most people only care about themselves. I think some of you just get off on seeing the violence. So you leave dumb comments like that. There you go. There's just one of a few we watched, so goodbye on that. When the state sanctions the use of violence against the public, where can you feel safe? Agree. Only water and flash bombs? Do you realize that people are being blinded? Go on Twitter, my friend. Feel free. As I said, you are trying to disrupt negatively what the point and what the objective of this stream is. And I'm not going to fall for it. So feel free. I made that clear that we're not going to focus on violent videos. Why banning people who have a different opinion than you? Because it was a racist comment. You probably didn't see it. Racism will not be tolerated. There were no violent people in that front row, and if you leave a comment like that again, you will be blocked and banned from this channel. So stop. I'm done with you. If you want to learn something and you want to use your privileges to create lasting change, I welcome you to say. Otherwise, you're gone. So, as I mentioned, the goal today dude, you're gone. You hear it in the video. You're gone. I gave you a chance. Now you're gone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. LT. All right, you guys. Here we go. Let's just start. Let's start through this. Let's not waste any time. So, here, I'm going to read that. I'm off to bed. I wish for a peaceful resolution. I hope dialogue happens with the leaders of the town, cities, states, and federal level. I personally don't think the protests are the means to a resolution. There needs to be one voice that leads, like Dr. King until then, and then it was going too fast. Okay. I understand your sentiments. I disagree. I think peaceful protests can be incredibly powerful. But I do also understand that it feels like we've been in this place so many times before and nothing has changed. So I understand your reservations. I'm with you there. So here we go. I think the most important thing that we all need to take away from this no. And if you start doing protesters equals looters, you're banned immediately. Immediately. So, the number one thing that the number one thing that I've taken away from my own feelings, not only my own feelings, but the events as they've unfolded over the past week, and also basing it on what I've witnessed while I've been alive and what I know about our history, is that we must take this anger, take this rage, and organize and vote. Otherwise, yes, it will mean nothing. And I understand that it's so easy to feel like our voice doesn't count, so why vote? Or that we've been ignored in the past, so why vote? And it's not just about voting for the presidential elections. Your local elections are incredibly important to change and shift and create new policies to prevent these things. To prevent the ongoing violence towards Black people and the ongoing violence towards people at the hands of the police. So, and of course, this goes beyond the violence. There's so much more to it than just that, but it's about the inequality that exists. Full circle. So one thing that we keep seeing throughout the years is that young people don't vote. But then you have the flip side where you see people angry or posting on social media about how they want things to change and how things aren't right. But the majority of those people posting those things are probably, this is just an assumption here, but probably the same people that didn't vote in the first place. So I think this is where it's really up to us to not stop tomorrow, not stop next week. It's not just about a hashtag. It's about a long-term commitment to what we all claim our ideals are. So, this was like a last-minute article that I posted, but this is where we're at. Local and grassroots organizations, okay? So, I understand a lot of you who made this. I worked on this today. Spell check. I worked on this today, and I know I lost my train of thought. I know a lot of you are from all over the country, and here's another thing. We were talking last week about how we can all feel like we're screaming into a void because we're just posting things on social media, and sometimes it's disheartening. I was thinking about that more, and I said, okay, I want to be able to share things with people outside of my bubble, because even though California is a blue state, a lot of our policies are not, and a lot of the way money is spent does not align with being a blue state. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is this website, and you've probably seen this on social media if you're on social media. This is the Movement for Black Lives. And you can go, I mean, let's just call this a great one-stop organization to inform yourself. Okay, look, they even have download our resource on safety and infiltration, policy platforms, about us, virtual events, sign the petition. Local demands. So here you go. You can look at if your city or state is represented. Policy demands. So this is a really great website that I encourage all of you to visit, to share. You can sign up here. I encourage you to do so. You can donate if you can. I encourage you to do so. They have a lot of virtual events. The last one was a couple of days ago, and as you can see, they've been doing them. This is not a new organization. They've been around. You could sign the petition. I already said you could sign the petition. That was at the bottom of the homepage. So here we go. These are things that I encourage all of you to sign, all of you to educate yourselves, and to share, because it does start with us. And this is currently where they're at, a week of action. So we're going to talk about this because it is Tuesday. We demand a divestment from the police and investment in black communities. We demand local schools, colleges, universities, and all public institutions cut tie with the police. They have so many resources here, right? So a lot of you say, defund the police. What? How could you? What would you do when you need them? If you needed them, what would you do if you needed them? Okay? We're going to look at this article then. What would a world without cops? What a world without cops would look like. This is by Madison Pauly, 8 hours ago. And the dark mode is not helping me right now, but we'll survive. Following the killings of George Floyd in Minneapolis and an outbreak of police violence in response to nationwide protests, calls for change in America's police departments are coming from activists, public officials, and celebrities. But unlike past attempts to reform the police in the wake of high-profile killings of people of color, which often centered on increased oversight or training, we've done this before. This time the demands are far more radical. Defund police departments or abolish them entirely. Efforts to cut off funding for police have already taken root in Minneapolis, where the police department's budget currently totals $193 million. In 2017, the department received 36% of the city's general fund expenditures. 2 days after Floyd's killing, the president of the University of Minnesota declared that the campus would no longer contract with the police department to provide security for large gatherings like football games. On Friday, a member of the Minneapolis Board of Education announced a resolution to end the school district's contract to station 14 cops in its schools. And community groups such as the Black Visions Collective and the Reclaim the Block are petitioning the city council to cut the police department's budget by $45 million and reinvest the money in health and non-police safety programs. With other campaigns to cut police budgets underway in cities like Los Angeles and New York and calls to defund the police gathering steam on social media, I spoke with Brooklyn College sociology professor Alex Vital, the coordinator of the Policing and Social Justice Project and the author of The End of Policing, to talk about the sweeping vision of police abolition and what it means in practice. So, I think we need to read this. I think we need to read this entire thing. I read it earlier, but we need to read it together, because a lot of you are very confused and outraged by this concept. So, 5 years ago, in the wake of the murders of Mike Brown and Eric Gardner and Tamir Rice, we were told, don't worry, we're going to fix it. We were going to give the police implicit bias training. We're going to hold up some community police encounter sessions. We're going to buy some body cameras. A whole set of what we often refer to as procedural reforms designed to make the police more professional, less biased, more transparent, and that this is going to magically fix the problem, but things did not get better. People are still being killed, and more importantly, the problem of over-policing remains. Why didn't it work? Procedural justice, folks. They want to restore the public's trust in the police so the police can go back to policing. But this ignores the question of what they are policing and whether they should be policing it. We have millions of low-level arrests in the United States every year, and most of them are completely pointless. It's a huge level of harassment meted out almost exclusively on the poorest and most marginal communities in our society. There's a deep resentment about policing in those places. And then when there's a high-profile incident, it unleashes all this pent-up anger and rage. Reducing policing goes hand in hand with widespread decriminalization, then of things like having an open container in your front yard or selling untaxed cigarettes. Absolutely. And this is like a question and answer part. So the answer or reply, absolutely, goes hand in hand with decriminalizing sex work, drugs, homelessness, mental illness. We don't really need a vice unit. We need a system of legalized sex work that's regulated just like any other business. We don't need school police. We need counselors and restorative justice programs. We don't need police homeless outreach units. We need supportive housing, community-based drop-in centers, and social workers. And by the way, California's slashed funding for social work programs this year as well. How do you mesh the idea of police abolition with the need to address serious public safety threats like murder or aggravated assault when those crimes are committed by the general public? And then the reply is, the criminal justice system says there's one strategy for everything. Make arrests, put them in prison. What abolitionists say is, well, let's figure out why they're doing this and try to develop concrete prevention strategies. Not all homicides are the same. Is it a domestic violence case? Is it a school shooting? Is it a drug deal gone bad? We know, for instance, that in almost all the school shooting cases, somebody had a pretty good idea that it might happen, but didn't tell anyone, or told the police, and the police had no tools to do anything about it. What if instead we had a system in place where when a young person thinks their friend might do something awful, can go and talk to a responsible adult without worrying that the police will get involved, that they will have ratted on their friend to the police, or that their friend will get expelled from school because of some zero tolerance policy? It's important to remember that there's no perfect world. There's no perfect solution. What we have now is far from perfect. People get killed all the time, even though our society is filled with police. Can we come up with a situation where there are fewer killings and fewer collateral consequences? Where did the movement to abolish the police come from? It began to take a coherent shape in the late 60s, early 70s. Initially, the radical edge from this, from the Black Panthers and others, was the idea of community control of the police. But a group of activists and academics wrote a document called The Iron Fist and the Velvet Glove, in which they began to say, wait a second, is there any policing that's actually a good idea? When we understand the fundamental nature of policing, even if the community has no control over it, it's still a state institution that's predicated on the use of violence to fix problems. And that's what we're seeing all across the country. And historically has never operated in the interests of the poor and the non-white. After the 1970s, this idea became very dormant. It was the rise of mass incarceration in the last 20 years that has brought this idea back into the fore. A little over 20 years ago, Critical Resistance was formed in California, which is mostly focused on prison abolition. This led to works by Angela Davis and Ruth Wilson Gilmore that were focused on prison abolition. But communities understood that to achieve prison abolition, we needed to do something about policing as well. So little campaigns began to pop up. In the Black Lives Matter era, there's been a deepening of analysis among the activists who initially just wanted to jail some killer cops, but then began to see that that would not really fix the problem. Have the campaigns had any victories? There have been little victories that kind of presage what we're trying to do, but not a lot. Sometimes what we did is prevented an increase in spending. People managed to kill a particular program or funding for a new police academy. The victories are not going to look like a police department getting shut down. A victory is going to look like we got the police out of schools, or we created an alternative to using the police to deal with homelessness. What does this end up looking like on a practical level? Say if my car gets stolen. A friend of ours, they had their car stolen. The police actually recovered it and arrested the driver. So they were like, see, we need the police. We need police. And I said, well, let's dig a little deeper here. What do we know about the person who got arrested that stole your car? The police said that he'd been arrested a bunch of times and there was drug paraphernalia left in the car. And I'm like, so we tried policing a bunch of times with this guy. Did it prevent your car from getting stolen? No. Is this person stealing cars because they have a drug problem? Probably. Is sending them to jail over and over again fixing their drug problem? No. Okay, if we want to reduce vehicle thefts the first time that we come in contact with this person, we've got to start trying to address what's driving their problematic behavior. Without police, or with drastically scaled back police forces, how does the picture change for people in communities who don't use the police or trust them? For those folks, the picture changes because hopefully they won't have so many problematic things to deal with. The reality is a lot of people just don't call the police as it is because they feel like it's going to make their lives worse. That is a deep truth. And so what we want to do is not just to leave them on their own. We want to try and start fixing their problems. Like domestic violence, which goes grossly underreported because huge numbers of survivors feel that getting the police involved is just going to make the situation worse. Police come, either do nothing, arrest both parties, or arrest a man whom the woman was financially dependent upon. He's pissed off when he gets out of jail and he comes back and beats her up again. Where's the community resource center? Where are the supports for families so that maybe they can fix their problems? Where are the outlets for women so that they can live independently to get away from an abuser? How would things change for the white people who reflexively rely on and trust the police, the Amy Coopers of the world? They won't have this resource that they can weaponize against people. They'll have to figure out other ways of resolving their problems. This interview's been edited and condensed. So we've been reading an article on motherjones.com. The journalist is Madison Pauly. And this was a conversation between her and Alex Vitale. So hopefully that educates you on the motivations behind these movements and on the goals of these movements. Dude, it's called per capita. If you have a problem with what Black Lives stands for, if you have a problem with admitting that you have privilege because you are white, you need to look inside of yourself. If you cannot admit that we have a systemic problem in our country, I encourage you to join your community leaders and learn something from them. Because staying in your white protective bubble, you're not going to learn anything. So, if you guys want to keep talking about, well, what about when you need the police? Read the article again. And I will be linking everybody to this document. Not right away, but I will share this. Hoppy, thank you for the tier 1 2 months. Fluffy, thank you for the tier 1 11 months. Mar V, thank you for the 5 months. Waybide, thank you for the 2 months. DWOW, thank you for the tier 1 2 months. Thank you. You cried a lot over the past week. Stay strong. Tim99, thank you for the tier 1 8 months. Seawalt, thank you for the tier 1. Carruthers, thank you for the tier 1 2 months. Carruthers, thank you for the 333. Nikki Gato, thank you for the tier 1 6 months. LT Digilusion, thank you for the tier 1 2 months. Italdorian, thank you for the tier 1 8 months. Kawaii Senpai, thank you for the tier 1 5 months. Z Tayton, X Tayton, thank you for the tier 1 12 months already. And I still can't say your name. I'm terrible. Thanks, you guys. So, once again, racism is not a phenomenon. Racism is not a phenomenon. Get out of here. Get out of here. You guys like to hear yourselves talk. This isn't about you. This is about learning. This is about moving forward. This is about more than just using a hashtag. Police illegally searched me in my car for no reason. How did my privilege work there? You're alive. You're alive. We could start there. And if you're outraged, stick around, because I am providing you with resources tonight. Our goal here is not just to watch the violence that we continue to see on social media. I think if we want to create a lasting change, we need to commit to it. So I encourage you guys all to follow or bookmark this website that we're at right now. Movement for Black Lives. You can follow them all over social media. Check out their website. And they're currently in the middle of a week of action in defense of Black lives. Once again, if you have a problem with that sentiment, what that stands for, I encourage you to look into your heart and ask yourself why that makes you so uncomfortable. So we're going to get out of there. We've read that stuff. So that's the first website I would encourage you guys to take a look at. Other local and grassroots organizations. Some of these things are just my own personal notes that I was frantically typing away at. So we read that. What I wanted to get to was local. I feel like I'm missing something. I shared this today already, but we'll take a look at this. There were some elections today, so I was sharing this for you guys on Twitter. So again, vote. Not just in the presidential elections. Vote in your local elections. You can use ballotpedia.org to learn about your local and state elections, as well as presidential elections, and I encourage you to. Where else can we go? Okay. No. If we made it a law against the law for people with ties to or who have been in white supremacist and white nationalist groups to join the police force, would that change anything in your opinion? They're good at hiding. They're good at hiding. Would it change? A little bit. But I think there's bigger issues at play here. So here's the National Bail Fund Network. Here we go. This is what I wanted. You can support people by state. So these are The National Bail Fund Network is made up of over 60 community bail and bond funds across the country. We regularly update this listing of community bail funds that are freeing people by paying bail and bond and are also fighting to abolish the money bail system and pretrial detention. And why is that? That is because Black people and minorities and people from disenfranchised neighborhoods, those without access, usually have incredibly unrealistic bails set for them. And they can't afford bail. People are being arrested right now for protesting peacefully. We just watched a video of it. So they say, note that this directory is currently limited to community bail funds that are regularly paying bail bond within the criminal, legal, or immigration detention systems for community members as their central action. This directory does not include the many legal defense funds that allied organizations hold, that they may include bail support and the numerous community-based organizations that periodically pay for bail and bond. Okay, so protesting is not a crime. Protesting is not a crime. And as we were reading earlier, many people are arrested for very minor offenses that could be handled completely differently. So, here we go. An amazing, amazing website. Tons of resources. Yes, when they lead to violence, you mean when the police flame them up with gas and shoot them with rubber bullets? You're right. You're totally right. Protesting is a right. All right, so there we go. That's a very helpful site. Again, Ballotpedia. I'm missing something that I'd got together. You got for everybody, but I'm going to just leave Ballotpedia up. I encourage you guys to all check this out and stay involved, which brings me to the next site that I think is also very helpful. Showing up for racial justice. So this is great. If you guys feel that if you guys are feeling disheartened because posting on social media isn't doing enough, good. I'm glad you feel that way. Get involved. Use that frustration. Look at this. They have get connected to a chapter. Here you go. So, join our community. The Showing Up for Racial Justice Network is made up of chapters and affiliates across the country. Chapters are groups that have emerged since the founding, rooted in our values and theory of change. Affiliates are groups that existed previous to our founding, share our values, and have chosen to affiliate with the network. Look at this, okay? So you go here. And look at that, all over the country. So I think this is a really, really helpful website. And I highly encourage you guys to visit this site if you want to get involved. Please do consider. And remember, getting involved doesn't always mean that you have to protest on the street, peacefully protest on the street. It doesn't always mean that you have to sit in every meeting and do things in a formulaic way. You can get involved and be part of a community. You can donate you can donate your time in person. A lot of these organizations are not backed by big money, so they can definitely use your help. Don't let the rioters diminish what the protesters are trying to accomplish. This message should not be lost. I agree, but unfortunately, mayors, governors, leaders around the country, they like to just use that both sides thing, and they're not calling out police violence at all, and that just infuriates the people even more. That not one of them has the guts to speak out. It's not just liberal. It's not just conservative. They're all to blame. The policies that perpetuate these issues, that perpetuate the violence, these policies don't change, whether they're liberal or conservative. So here you go. This is a great resource. If you guys are feeling like you want to do more, you don't know what to do next, there you go. Is this a politics stream now? Today it is. And it's not politics. No, actually. This is educating the people on how we can use our privileges to help Black people. Because ending Black violence is important and crucial to all of us. A human rights stream is more like it. That's right. So there you go. Why not try to reduce poverty? This is all part of it, man. This is what I'm saying. Get involved. Skin color is a privilege, dude. Yes, culture and education have a lot to do with it, but you cannot ignore the systemic racism that has plagued our country. You simply cannot. And I encourage you, please, get involved. Get involved. Join an organization, learn more. And while these statements and these sentiments might make you uncomfortable, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. You know, a lot of super poor white people too. Nobody's ever going to fight for those guys. Community voting, once again. Justice for Black lives is justice for all lives. And many of these programs, and many of these goals that are set out and laid out of what we've discussed so far, help everybody at the end of the day. A lot of it does have to do with poverty. I don't disagree with you, but you, once again, you cannot ignore what plagues our country. Sadly, some people are fighting. Some people are trying their best to ignore it. People get timed out and banned for racist comments. And for conspiracy theories. If you blast any conspiracy theories, you're out. You're out. So once again, I encourage you all to get involved. can't stick around, but thanks for providing educational streams and not just ranting or being angry. We need more of this. This is what... exactly, Return of Epic. This is... I thought about this a lot today. I thought about not streaming. I thought about remaining silent, but I don't think that is helpful. Okay, so what's next? That's where we're at. If you want to find a local organization, that's just one. Showing up for racial justice, that's just one. Another one that I'm also very familiar with is White People for Black Lives. What is up with my... Where is their website? So, White People for Black Lives is actually a chapter of Showing Up for Racial Justice, which we were just looking at. Here you go, right there. And I think they replaced, let me see. Learn more. This is another great resource. So if you guys are interested, again, they are a chapter of Showing Up for Racial Justice. So you can check them out, follow them on social media. Okay, your issue is racial justice. How would you propose we get everyone to start treating everyone fairly? It's not going to happen. Not with that attitude. Not with that attitude, it's not. So, valid question. Can you erase hate? Can you erase the sick desire that people have for power and control over other people? No, not completely. But what you can do... Here you go. Let's jump to this. What you can do is... Bloop. One, join one of these great organizations. Join a local chapter in your community. Get connected. Yes, social media will be a part of it because that's how we use our collective voices to speak out about injustice. But I think if, in my opinion, if you're actually joining a collective, you're hearing other people's stories, you're hearing other people's experiences, and it will affect you differently. And I think it inspires, it's very inspiring as well. But here we go. Anti-racism efforts. This is another link that I found. I actually talked about this on stream last week and blasted out on social media as well. But it's definitely about no time for but what about. Exactly. Thank you. There is no time for what about? But what about? No. So here you go. Hate is something that is taught to people somewhere along the lines while growing up by teaching new generations and putting it in textbooks. It makes it possible to completely eradicate. It makes it, I think you meant impossible. Anyway, I don't know what you meant exactly by that. It's scrolling a little bit fast. But just stop being white. No, you can use that privilege to inform and inspire and educate other people on how to use their privileges for them to then educate and inspire other people as well. So, anti-racism resources. Wait, I gotta read that. There's so much anti-white racism in America. Thank God I don't live there. Look, like, I know this focus is on what's currently happening here in America, but let's not pretend that everywhere else in the world is fine and dandy, because it's not. Racism exists everywhere. It does. I think the biggest difference is that the way the police force, because that's really a lot of the focus, what a lot of the focus is today. The biggest difference is the way that the police treat people. And the amount of violence that is tolerated in this country is unreal. If you fight, so I'm going to sidebar. If you fight the cause of racism, which is all fear-based, you will not only bring equality and minimize racial disparity, but you will also help all those who are disenfranchised and poor. Well said. I agree. I would like to point out that races are entirely social. What? It's illogical. No. This is not the Matrix. It exists. It's real. People are killed for the color of their skin. While maybe you might be colorblind, most people do not have the privilege of living in your bubble colorblind world that actually doesn't exist. Racism is real because the consequences are real. Straight up. Thank you, Ice Cold. So, media only shows you bad police, so you think that they're all bad. Dude, no. Look at all of the politicians, red state, blue state, mayors, governors, leaders. Nobody has the guts to call out the police across the country attacking peaceful protesters. No, I've not heard it. If somebody has, please send me the link now. I've not seen one leader. I've not seen one leader speak out against it. Both sides. No. Enough of that. Call it out. So back to, look, the way that what I was talking about before was, before I sidebarred, there was, yes, racism exists all around the world. But the way that our police force deals with individuals there needs to be a change. I don't smoke, so you must be referring to yourself. And I know, America's not alone in that. And no, Europe is not perfect. But when it comes to dude, it's called no. Any of those kind of comments, stop deflecting. I'm not going to allow deflection because that's going to create a ripple effect. It's called per capita. So I've seen that message all week long, and I'm over it. Once again, I encourage you to join a local organization educate yourself and be part of change. Not only be part of change, but be committed to that change. So anyways, we're not perfect, but racism exists everywhere, and Europe is not perfect, but we could look to them, not always, but in some ways, the way that police interact with people. I've seen videos time and time again of a person that looks crazy on camera has a knife and they're running towards police, and police calmly take the knife out of the man's hands. Do you think they were scared for their lives? I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. Okay, so this is a really, really great, going back to how can we, as somebody was asking, can we erase racism? Can we erase hate? Again, join a local chapter, join a local organization. I provided you with a few. And what else can you do? Here you go. This is great. This is the one I shared last week. I'll just read this for you guys. This document is intended to serve as a resource to white people and parents to deepen our anti-racism work. If you haven't engaged in anti-racism work in the past, start now. Feel free to circulate this document on social media and with your friends, family, and colleagues. Here's a shorter link. So, to take immediate action to fight for Breonna Taylor, please visit fightforbreonna.org. Resources for parents to raise anti-racist children. Books. Look, there's books. There's podcasts. Articles. The Conscious Kid. Follow on Instagram. Articles to read. Videos to watch. Podcasts to subscribe to. Books to read. Now, I know, again, a lot of people come at me for posting defense of Black lives and calling out white privilege, and it makes you uncomfortable because they don't teach us this stuff in school. We're not taught how to stand up for other people. We're not taught to speak out. We're taught, oh man, I can't. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, well, if I tell Johnny's dad that I don't like the way that Johnny was talking to little Susie, then little Susie isn't gonna have a friend anymore. But do you want those people to be your friend? Do you really? And I'm not saying start immediately by cutting people out, but first educate yourself. And then have those conversations. And yes, they are uncomfortable. I've been in many uncomfortable situations. There's times where I failed. There are times where I wish I would have spoken out against something and I didn't. And there's times where I've stepped up and I've had intelligent conversations with people. Sometimes I change minds. Sometimes I educate people because maybe they weren't aware of something before. Maybe I made them think differently. And other times it's just ended in an argument, let's be real, that didn't go anywhere because there's some people's minds that you won't be able to change. But it is my responsibility. It is my responsibility to take action. Has anyone been to a protest? Is social distancing possible? So, people are... Sorry, I'm trying to look for something really quickly before I answer that. And I missed it, so it probably got deleted. Look, some people are protesting and they're taking a risk. If you don't feel that you can take that risk because you cannot compromise your health, you can still be involved. It's not the only way. You can still get involved. Your voice can still be heard. Talk about what's going on. You know, like if there's people you know that aren't on social media, they're probably not seeing a lot of what's going on. They're only seeing this very myopic view, and they're not seeing the violence that is being started by police. And they're probably not seeing the majority of the peaceful protests that are actually happening. So talk to those people in your lives about these things. Start a thread. I've been saving links to things that I see. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I don't want to focus. My intention wasn't to focus on all of the violence that's happening right now. You guys can all see it. I've inundated myself with it for several days, and it's not okay for anybody's mental health to continuously watch and rewatch these things, but we also can't ignore it. So speak out. I understand it's not going to be comfortable. You want to, but you cannot risk your health. There's so many ways. We haven't even got to the donation resources, but so far we've covered different articles for some people, because I understand some people are going to say, this is radical. But you know what? No matter if you're in a predominantly Republican state or a predominantly Democratic state, there are not enough radical programs or solutions or goals that have actually been implemented in our communities to create lasting change. So what are you even like, statements like that just don't even make sense. Free ride with what the hell, dude? How's it going to be solved? Racism will never end. The government. Yeah. Okay. First of all, the second part of what you said is just like a brain fart, probably. Racism will never end. You might just be joining. The point of this conversation today is to encourage you to speak out, to use your privilege to speak out against the injustices that happen every single day. I'm sorry, Jarvis. But maybe you can make new friends and join organizations and foster new relationships. And you know what? You're not going to be able to change everybody's mind. That's the truth. And whoever just said that, racism, okay, we can't eradicate hate. We can't eradicate racism, but you can try. It's up to you. And this is a great place to start. And a reason I wanted to put together a lot of these resources is, again, I've kind of touched on this on streams before, but I'm born and raised in California, Sacramento, where I'm lucky enough to have grown up around so many different cultures, so many different races. And that definitely made an impact on who I am, for the better. And I understand that America is a big place, and not everybody grew up in a place like I did. And that doesn't mean that Sacramento was perfect by any means. It just definitely made a huge imprint on who I am. So the thing is, I understand the point of putting all these resources together is because I understand that maybe a lot of white people have not ever known or had friends that are black or any minority for that matter. Or maybe very few, or maybe you just work with a minority. But sometimes I forget that, and I forget that we don't all share the same experiences. So again, the goal here today is is to take action. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. La, la, la. Join organizations, speak out, educate yourself. And my goal here today is to provide you with those tools, and hopefully you will do something with them, and hopefully you will share them with the people that are in your life as well. What if I no longer want to be a racist, assuming I was raised as a racist all my life, and now it's psychologically difficult to stop doing it? Is there an organization that can help me? I don't know if you're trolling me. The way it's written is a little suspicious. If you're not a troll and you genuinely and that genuinely applies to you, once again, I encourage you to join a local chapter. I closed the window. Oh, no, I did not. Showingupforracialjustice.org is a great website. White People for Black Lives is a great resource. So if you're so afraid of people that don't look like you, try joining a chapter that makes you feel comfortable and learn. But remember, nobody is going to coddle you. And unfortunately, healthcare is another huge issue in this country, and it would be great if you could go talk to somebody about that. And I mean that. I really do mean that. And I'm laughing because I'm just thinking of the absurd. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm furious and frustrated with the lack of healthcare that exists for all people in this country. So I did not mean to laugh at you. I'm laughing only because I'm furious and frustrated. By using the statement all lives matter or all lives is what matters proves that you do not understand what Black Lives stands for, and I encourage you to dig deep and join one of these organizations so you can truly understand what it stands for, because justice for Black lives is justice for all lives. Thank you. A lot of these issues are interconnected 100%. Why do? That was a good joke. That was a good joke, Governor. That was a good joke. And you are permanently blocked. Racism will not be tolerated. You heard that? You heard that? What's that voice? No racism will be tolerated in this. Why not Black people for white lives? Because Black people do not owe white people anything. Because they were taken in chains and brought here. That's why. We, in our privilege, have the power to give back and create lasting change. And again, I'm sure that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I know it does. I've been getting trolled since 2006. It does not affect me the way you're probably hoping it will. All All right, I have to. I have to use the bathroom quickly, and we'll continue going through these resources when I get back from the bathroom. And I just deleted your comment because posting information that is not true to stir up things in chat are not tolerated whatsoever. So, thank you. Respect that. Dang. Of course I muted myself. Thank goodness I didn't say much at all. All right, so big oof. Of course I was muted. I knew that was going to happen today. So quick recap is all I was saying. And I said quick recap. A quick recap. Takeaway. Is that even if you're not out there peacefully protesting, you can join community organizations to learn more, to engage in different ways. And make a promise to yourself that you're committed to staying involved beyond just a hashtag. Secondly, voting. Of course, voting in presidential elections are important, but voting on your local elections are incredibly important. And again, I know so many of us are disenfranchised and we've given up faith on the system. But use this energy and use this momentum to turn a page. Start over, start fresh, and encourage people to do the same. Another problem we keep seeing is the lack of young people voting. The lack of young people voting. Something that I saw a lot of things on social media of people going around like asking in one of the most recent elections, like, why aren't you voting? And they're just going around asking young people 18 to 21 why they weren't voting. But like they could have had registration forms with them while they were asking those questions, and they didn't. So when and if you do choose to join a local organization, I would encourage you to make this a very main issue, to focus on this. If you're a college student, try to find ways to involve your community. It's so easy to register. It's so easy to vote. And in some places, they do make it difficult. So that's a short recap. We're going to continue. Sarivan, thank you for the gifted tier 1. Brio Man, thank you for the tier 2 12 months. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your kind words. Zerion, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Bison Hider, thank you for gifted tier 1 deal. Thank you for the 1337 equals MC squared. Thank you for the gifted tier 1. Matthews Barrowsome, thank you for the 5 months. Waiting for the mukbang streams. Emlembo, thank you for the tier 1. Emlembo, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted. VTO Gamer, thank you for the tier 1. Mr. Kirby, thank you for the tier 1. HD J-Rod, thank you for the tier 1 3 months. Thanks for sticking around, you guys. Do you have an issue over Black Lives Matter instead of All Lives Matter? If people really wanted equality, they would think they would prefer the latter. White, black, brown, Asian, etc. A life is a life. Unfortunately, if that's the one side, the one way you are viewing this, you don't understand what Black Lives Matter stands for. Justice for Black lives is justice for all lives. So, recap, ballotpedia.org. I encourage all of you to bookmark this site. If you say justice for white lives, justice for all lives, is that also true? Are white people oppressed in the same ways that black people are? Are white people marginalized in the same way that black people are? Are white people imprisoned the same way black people are? Poor white people still have privileges that black people do not. So, here we go, ballotpedia.org. And once again, if you guys have a problem with this, if you guys have a problem with the statements, with the ideology, I encourage you to join a chapter. Showing up for racial justice. Learn something. White people for black lives. Learn something. All right, so we are also here, anti-racism resources. This is what I shared last week on Twitter. This will be included when I share this as well. This is a great resource for parents especially. Again, if you guys are out here saying poor white people have shit lives, that's a dumb thing to say. Being poor is being poor. Yes, being poor is being poor. That is true. But it is also true that even in poverty, poor white people have privileges that black people do not. And by creating policies that help black people, we're helping create policies that help all people. They're adolescents, and that's why I am, if that is the case, well, I encourage some of you to stop just complaining and using hashtags, but join a local chapter of an organization and educate yourself. Because it will also give you the confidence to relearn the way you think, the way you treat people, how to have those uncomfortable conversations with people in your lives. Vote, 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 not just in presidential elections, in your local elections. All right. I think this link here is still part of the Showing Up for Racial Justice organization. Let me see. It is, yeah. So Showing Up for Racial Justice also made this document that you can fill out. I'll also link to that. All right, let's scroll back up. So People's Action is affiliated with Ground Game, LA Empower. That's who we raise money for. It's been about a month now, right? So They have member organizations across the country. And again, when we did that charity stream, something that I repeated over and over and over was that I prefer to donate to local causes and issues because they tend to be much more transparent with where their money goes. But here you go. peoplesaction.org is another great resource. Look, organized by state. People's Action is a national organization driven by local and state organizing. Take action in your community by joining one of our member organizations. So, look at all the states listed. They have different campaigns, different programs. You could donate, learn all about them. You can volunteer. So again, there's several ways that you can take action that maybe if you're compromised and you cannot protest peacefully outside, you can take action in so many different ways. And yes, you can still use social media, but it's also incredibly important to be having these conversations with people in real life as well, and encouraging people to vote. So one thing that I didn't, some of these websites actually, I think one or two of these websites actually have resources if you're having problems voting, or you need resources regarding voter suppression. I'll make sure to find something that's like much more apparent in this document before I share it, because I think that will also be very helpful. Okay, Grassroots Global Justice Alliance. This is actually recommended by Ground Game LA as well. Grassroots Global. What is wrong with me? I'm thirsty. Grassroots Global Justice is an alliance of U.S.-based grassroots organizing groups comprised of working and poor people and communities of color. They bring groups into a long-term process of relationship building, political alignment, and transformational leadership development. We weave and bridge together U.S.-based GRO groups and global social movements working for climate justice, gender justice, an end to war, and a just transition to a feminist economy. The populations represented by GGJ's membership reflect a broad U.S. cross-section: informal sector workers, domestic workers, public school and garment factory workers, and other reproductive laborers in Florida, Texas, New Mexico, California, Washington, Michigan, youth organizers in Philadelphia, veterans against war across the U.S., indigenous peoples in northern Arizona, across the northern plains and Great Lakes regions in Alaska, migrant workers, worker centers and worker-owned cooperative projects in North Carolina, Jackson, Florida, Boston, rural Washington, Vermont, and southern Maine, environmental justice organizers in New York City, Providence, Albuquerque, Detroit, Seattle, Southeast Texas, Northern and Southern California, Alaska, and organizers who fight for housing, immigrant, environmental, and economic rights in the San Francisco Bay Area. What? An amazing place, an amazing organization. So once again, check it out, get involved. Use your voice and don't back down. And I know you guys, like, look, I go through my ups and downs too, where I feel like, man, nothing's ever going to change. Nothing we do is enough. But that's what they have tried to ingrain in us. And that's what we need to unlearn. So, look at this. Tons of resources. Get involved locally. You guys are Antifa communists. Care about local businesses. I'm going to delete your comment because that just, it contradicts itself, first of all. The point of this, and by leaving that, it will make it look like I agree with you, which I don't. And since I saw it, I'm deleting it. I'm not banning you. Stick around because I hope that you take something away from this. Not to be a troll, but are we including Hispanics in these discussions? So, as that, thank you for the preface on that. So, oh my goodness. Okay, I need to stop reading and answer a question. One, I would have to say, no, hold on. Deleting your comment because I don't agree with you. No, you're not saying anything, actually. You're using keywords that you found on the internet and just blasting it into chat, and they actually don't make any sense, and you're not commenting, you're not having a civil discussion about anything. You're not actually disagreeing with me because you're not saying anything whatsoever. So is that okay? So are Hispanics being involved in this discussion? So in this discussion, do you mean end white silence? I would have to say 100% yes. Again, a lot of people are taken aback. They don't like hearing anything that has to do with Black Lives Matter. They try to twist it and turn it in any which way, but by supporting Black lives, you're supporting all lives. So I would like to just throw that out there. But yes, ending white silence is about using our privileges that we have and using our voice to stand up for Black people, to stand up for people of color. And if any of you have ever been to a peaceful protest, you will see many groups and many people joining together peacefully, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's why I would like to encourage you. Oh my goodness. And that's why I would like to encourage you to get involved in your local community. Again, this is a great website, ggjalliance.org. This is a really broad organization as well, so they definitely help with all sorts of different human rights issues. I just want the Hispanic community to not feel left out or ignored. Blatant echo chamber in here. Not a fan of people who can't take an argument. Dude, you didn't have an argument. I'm not going to scroll back. You know how many thousands of people are in chat right now? If I missed your comment before, I'm not going to apologize for that. There's tons of people that I missed their comment. You are actually the one that was copy and pasting. You haven't heard an original thought. Now you're just trolling. So if you would like to keep copy and pasting keywords, you will be banned. I give you a second chance. So good luck with that. Once again, if you guys are trying and attempting to to troll, doesn't really work with me. The goal of today is to provide you, one, with anti-racism resources to learn how to be a better you and how to contribute to the betterment of Black lives, how to contribute to the betterment of everyone, because justice for Black lives is justice for all lives. So, once again, I'm providing you with resources. I'm providing you with organizations in which you can join and be part of an actual community. And I encourage you to do these things and to speak out against injustices that you see. When you hear people saying racist things, when you see people sharing things that should disgust you and maybe you don't know how to speak up, start doing it. Start speaking up. Start speaking out against it. Use your voice. Vote. Encourage people to vote. Not just your friends on social media, the ones you actually see in real life. Harass them. Are you registered? Are you registered? Did you vote? I didn't even get started on the different websites that I use to gauge and decide the people that I'm voting for. And I'm not going to do that today. What if the values of your family don't align with yours? I started getting annoyed that my family does not understand the issue. That's going to happen. And these are unfortunately ingrained into many people across the country. You're a felon and you can't vote. If that's true, you can still be part of organizations. You can still help people register to vote. You can still spread the word. Once again, the system that wants to continue to shut people down, you still have a voice. You can still help. I'll be linking to all these organizations. You can join a local chapter, help people that you know register to vote. What do you do to de-stress? I have debt and struggling with homelessness, though I'm tempted to live in the woods. Cities are a nightmare right now. Man, I have to tell you, I've not been able to de-stress in the past few days, and it's not healthy. And oh my goodness, stop deflecting. Stop deflecting. You guys coming in here, you know how many times I've seen more this, more that. No. Wrong. Incorrect. It's called per capita. Stop spamming the same thing. I know you guys love to spam that same thing. So I'm sorry, like, man, it's hard. How to decompress, turn your phone off at a certain point. Like, just get away from it all. Force yourself. I've not been good at that over the past few days. I've not been good at forcing myself to shut it off. Tomorrow I'm going to get back on track. But right now we're not talking about me. How could you help yourself? Just little things, man. Like, give yourself 10 minutes in the morning and stretch or do a quick exercise. 10 minutes. That's all it takes. Not with your phone. Put on some music you like. Start the day like that. Don't start the day with the news, but keep yourself informed and try to block certain periods of the day to inform yourself. But don't let it be consuming. And it's not easy. I don't always do that. Like I said, I've been terrible at it the past few days, but keep trying. So, I feel like I didn't. Somebody had asked the question, and I got distracted with the band hammer. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. And I'm probably going to miss it if you type it again. But rioters are different from protesters. Rioters are different from protesters. Rioters, repeat it with me now. Rioters are different from protesters. Little bouncy ball. Rioters are different from protesters. Tai Chi and Chai Tea. Oh, yes. Dude, you keep posting that same thing, actual scientific argument. By prefacing your statement with actual scientific argument, you're already showing what you are. You've posted that same thing again. I'm gonna time you out because we've already gone over that, and now you're just trolling. So you're welcome back if you do not keep spamming the same thing. And for those of you that want to keep bringing up things without looking at per capita, you have to understand that all of these issues they're not singular. We're not talking about looters. We're talking about peaceful protesters. These are not singular issues. So, you know, the only people that the majority of people that come in and say, well, what about the black people killing black people? Yes, that is a huge issue in inner cities that different people have tried to address in the past, but you have to understand this is all part of a systemic problem. But the thing that we're dealing with right now, one, focus on an issue. And by you trying to point the finger and make this about black people killing black people is called deflection. So, part of this conversation, the entirety of this conversation has to do with the issues of our country as a whole, but we need to start with the main focus right now and not deflect into the other ones. But by voting, by taking action, by encouraging people in your lives to vote, by speaking out against racism, by doing these things, by learning about other cultures and not just your own, which is why I've provided you this resource, maybe you can understand why there are so many different disenfranchised communities. And here you go. Again, these resources to understand why we're at and where we're at as a country, as a society. You got to educate yourself, man. Now you're actually just gonna get a straight ban for that. All right. So much to read. I'm too lazy for this. Why should I read this stuff? Well, when you're complaining about all of the things you don't have and the lack of resources because you didn't vote, then you only have yourself to blame. Okay, so those were a few more organizations that you guys can. They're great because they provide resources for people across the country. So you can go to those websites and check out local chapters and hopefully get involved and join them. So I feel like we've only scratched the surface of everything that I wanted to go over. Did we do... Excuse me. I had to sneeze. Do you believe if a state has implemented a curfew, those who are protesting should continue to put themselves out there? And in this case, while the National Guard has been mobilized. So, good question. There's a thing called dissent, right? And I believe if you're peacefully protesting and you're standing up for your right, even if there is a curfew, I fully support that. As long as you're keeping it peaceful. Because I think the curfew is bull. So I admire and respect those that are out there that are keeping the peace and staying out after curfew because they're putting their lives on the line. But COVID, again, look, people are putting their lives on the line in more ways than one, and we talked about that earlier. If you want to be part of the change, but you feel like you're not ready to leave your isolation bubble, there's still ways you can be involved. There's still many, many, many ways you can be involved. And that's what we've been going over tonight. Excuse me. So I'm going to have to eat, and so I'm probably going to end this in a bit. There's a lot of things that we didn't even get to. I feel like we should read one more thing. Here, let's share this really quick. The NAACP is doing a virtual town hall tomorrow, June 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. And that kind of racism will not be tolerated, so goodbye. people protested with guns for wearing masks during a pandemic, so it should be okay for people to protest a curfew. Point. Is the document available somewhere? It is not yet, but I will be making it available. And part of this document does include other documents. And other resources. Some of them we have gone over. We didn't get to go through all of the things that I linked to. Where were we? Okay. Virtual town hall. Justice for George Floyd means holding police departments accountable for their role in terrorizing our neighborhoods. It means bringing an end to the criminalization of black skin. The anger and frustration we feel at this moment present an opportunity for the nation to make radical and transformational change. It is time to take bold new action to combat racism, domestic terrorism, and unjust policing. So, hold on really quickly. So, here's a cool town hall that happens tomorrow if you guys are interested in learning more. Again, I encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone because that's the only way we can make a change. How can we access these links and resources? So I made, this is what I worked on today. Some of these are compiled from different activists that I follow in different groups that I'm a part of. And I wanted to put them together, all together in one place because I realized so much gets lost in social media posts. I feel like Twitter's a little bit better for that because it's easier to share links. But with Instagram, people are I was looking at people's feeds today and I was saying, man, you're posting this to link to that to link, like 5 links later, and then they ended up removing the original thing. It's just a lot gets lost on social media, which is again why I hope that you will all take action beyond just using a hashtag. So I've compiled tons of different resources all here. I will be sharing it. I just need to change a couple of things. It's not live yet for you guys, but oh, this is great. This young girl put together Black Revolutionary Texts. This girl put this together. Her name is Elijah Webb. I found her on Twitter today. Followed. So again, tons of educational material. There was one other thing that I wanted to share. Oh, this was super interesting. Thanks. I don't want to go, but I have to. Witness.org is a organization that I've been following for a long time. This is another great sort of one-stop shop for resources. It covers everything. Really, really great organization. I mean, look at this. Video production basics, documenting protests, video advocacy curriculum. I know they have something on here of like, if you want to go to a protest, how to protect yourself, how to get involved, donate, participate. They have really good articles as well because there's definitely been times in the past, no matter what the cause is, where again, people are just using a hashtag, right? And so they really break it down to help people understand, like, what is the best way that you can take action and have it be meaningful and impacting and lasting, not just something that looks good on the surface. So witness.org is a great organization. I mean, like, you could spend so much time on that site. This is great. I was trying to find this podcast that I listened to about this. This is the actual. This is the actual article on the alumni that started this project. So, a massive project sheds light on California's criminal cops and showing how difficult it is to keep track records of criminal cops. So, I heard a really good podcast and I could not find it. I wish I could have, but now that I found this website, I might be able to find it with their names. But this is super fascinating read. If you guys are interested, I'll leave that in there. They have interviews with many black revolutionaries and general revolutionaries where they agree. Spurs leaders agree with and highly recommend it. I will try to remember that website or that YouTube channel. And I think the thing here again is like, look, you're not always going to if one more of you, you know what? I'm just going to be like, ban. Sorry. Okay. So here's the thing. Like, you're not always going to agree with, you're not always going to have the same viewpoints as another person or maybe as another organization. But I think by, again, getting involved locally, like that's, if you guys take away anything from this stream tonight, it's to get involved locally. That's the most important thing we can do. Because if you get involved locally, hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people that want to have these discussions. And even if you disagree, you're all there for the same core reasons. And hopefully you can communicate like adults. And I think that's a big takeaway, because having these conversations in person, or maybe joining even an online, which we can't necessarily do right now, but joining an organization and communicating online, like, you're going to have different conversations with people by joining organizations than you will just on the internet. I hope if you take away anything from tonight, that you do take away that. What's up, High Love? Welcome. Teaching empathy. Yeah, we have a long way to go on that as well. Hey, Aaron. Thanks for watching. What if you don't believe in the racial disparity, but you still want to do something against police brutality? Baby steps. Involve yourself in organizations. I provided tons, and I will be providing this direct link, but tons of different websites where you can get involved with local chapters, hopefully in your community. Start local, and maybe you will change your mind. Start digging into this anti-racism resources. Maybe you'll learn something that you weren't aware of before. I think putting, this is going to sound so cliche, like something our parents would say, but like, try walking in someone else's shoes. Somebody was talking about empathy. Again, something we lack a lot of. But what I can say is that when you support Black lives, you're supporting all lives. So, again, this is great. Anti-racism resources, like, start here. Start somewhere. Make sure you're the same shoe size if you try to walk in their shoes. Otherwise, you'll get bunions. Dave. What? Okay, the same things keep happening. Okay, so maybe some of you, before I sign off, maybe some of you missed some of the stream. Dave, you want to send a link, you could send it to the mods. Or if you're on Discord, the civil chat on Discord. Second, I know a lot of you in chat are probably have lost hope or tend to lose hope or go back and forth. I do too sometimes. We've seen this situation before where people are peacefully protesting and there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of anger and outrage, and it feels like we're there. It feels like we're almost there, that change is going to happen. I think one thing to look forward to is the fact, or the one thing we can lean on is the fact that social media is an incredibly powerful tool. And that's it's still fairly new. It's still in its infancy. And I get it. I feel the same way. Like, I feel disheartened a lot of the times as well. Like, we've been here. What is going to change? Okay, but here's something my dad used to say to me. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Okay? And I hated when he would say that. It made me mad. It would infuriate me even more. But you know what? You pick yourself up. And again, the goal tonight was to provide chat with the resources on how they can get involved. And you need, like, somebody earlier was like, why are you angry? I'm not angry right now. I'm actually incredibly passionate right now. And I feel a fire burning in me right now. And I want to share that passion with you guys. And that's what the system wants. They want us to be disenfranchised. They've taught us that time and time again, that we cannot do anything. And so I hope that I inspire some of you to take action, to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. To vote. To encourage others to vote. To help people register. To enlighten people. You don't believe the U.S. is ran by corporations that will lean conservative? I think there's a little bit of miscommunication there. The reason being corporations are afraid of customer outrage and they respond to it. Although I think simply donating money to a cause is placating rather than a genuine desire to change. So I've had those negative and cynical thoughts myself as well, like, oh, donating, what's that gonna do? Oh, well, it's just gonna put it in somebody's pockets, and the people are never gonna get it. I've been there. I know what that frame of mind is like. I don't understand the first part of what you were saying because I think it's just a little bit lost in translation. But in terms of donating, here we go. Let's scroll down to that. We didn't get to that, and then I'll sign off. So I've done a few charity streams on Twitch. And something that I always like to remind chat is that I I vet the charities that I donate to. I vet the charities that I encourage people to donate to. And I tend to go with organizations that are smaller because you actually see the work that they're doing on the ground. And in the case of Ground Game LA Empower, which we raised over $12,000 for, by the way, I've now been able to establish a relationship with them. And, you know, they even provided me with a couple of these websites today. So, again, local. If you guys take away anything from the stream, it's to get involved locally. Because a lot of these policies need to happen at a local level, not a federal level. Yes, it would be great if we had a leader that spoke out against police violence. Would be amazing. But the change that we needs to come from a local level. And we're a big country with a lot of different views. So 3 billionaires in the US have the same amount of wealth as 50% of the population. If you don't see something wrong with that picture, then probably won't be able to change your mind. Bingo. Bingo. So there you go. If you do feel like, and you know, maybe I'm not going to change your mind about donations, but again, I encourage you to start locally. And even if you're not for it morally or for whatever reason, because you're that cynical, you can still get involved in other ways. You can still get involved other ways. And I have provided chat with many ways they can get involved. But to end the stream, we'll talk about a few different donations. I think, is this the same one? No, this is a little bit different. So this is cool. This is like a split donation. So it donates to, I believe, 50 different organizations. And you set the dollar amount that you want to donate. It's secure.actblue.com. This is a great resource. And then we have this, which is another, like I said, this is a document, but there's documents inside of this document. I don't think we have the luxury of time. No, we don't. So here's another great, this is another document. A lot of people are putting together these documents. Official George Floyd Memorial Fund and Family Fund. Organize, and then there's I Run with Maud. This is organized for the benefit of Ahmaud Arbery's mother. Going towards the fight for making sure justice is served and to ensure that Ahmaud's mother has the resources they will need. Okay, so this is the top of this document is for different families. And then the Minnesota Freedom Fund, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they raised so much money in this past week that they're encouraging people to donate to smaller places, to smaller charities. Let me see. Might have to put this in my other browser. Yeah. Minnesota Freedom Fund. Okay, let's see. Where is their? I want to find their account though. Here it is. We encourage. Okay, so the Minnesota Freedom Fund is asking people to donate directly to families and local organizations, and not to them because they've received so many donations. So I'll try to make a note about that in my document. I don't have control over this one. I didn't create it. but in this main one, I'll try to make a note of that. Brooklyn Community Bail Fund. Again, this one splits bail to 50 different organizations if you can't make up your mind. Mother's Health Collective, ACLU. Homeless Black Trans Women Fund. Black Lives Matter. This is another great one. You'll see I saw a lot of people right before I went live started posting this on their social media. Oh no, what happened to it? There is no mainstream narrative for Black people. So you already lost the argument there with whoever you were arguing with him. So, no. Oh my god. Oh, no, 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 no. Conspiracy theories do not fly here. That's an insta-ban. Will I be going to streaming one of the protests? I cannot, unfortunately. So I'm doing my piece on social media, and by taking the day today to gather all of this different information and share it with you guys, and continuing to share it with you guys as well, and making contributions in other ways. Read the tutorial. So let's see if this is up. Okay, this redirected finally. So this is another way. Sign petitions. I really wanted to do this on stream, but I thought this might happen. We didn't have enough time. This is great. This is another kind of one-stop shop of things that you can do if you do not feel comfortable joining peaceful protests. And then if you do want to protest, here you go. Very, very important information. Do not share pictures or videos including protesters' face or identifying features, so the police cannot find and charge them. Research protests before attending. Very important. Many white supremacist groups are creating fake protests, and your life can be in danger. Many are police traps as well. Research, research, research. This is so important, you guys. So incredibly important. Phone numbers to call for unlawful arrests and protesting by city. Pro bono lawyers. Treatment for tear gas. First aid tips. If you're protesting, I encourage you to carry a small first aid kit. Safety while protesting. Knowing your rights. Deleting your digital footprint. Like, you guys, this is so much. There's so much valuable information. Don't just share this page and not take action on these things. That's not enough. Dude, I've already given you a warning. I'm giving you another one. Stop spamming. Per capita, per capita, per capita. These people coming out here with statistics that are not taking per capita into consideration are deflecting from the main issue at hand and living in their white bubble. So stop. Did I post all these somewhere? I did not yet, but I will be. So I compiled different resources that I researched all day long, and I put them in this document, which I will be sharing. So again, this is homework, and no, it's not easy, but a social media post with the hashtag is not enough. So I hope Fluffy, I like hugs. I love you, random citizen. He did say per capita, then he's incorrect. And he's posting similar spams. So spam is not welcome here either. Similar messages to what he was already posting earlier. No, you don't have to sub to watch the stream. Since white people like to come into chat, since white people like to come into social media posts with the same complaint over and over and over and over again, deflecting from the issue at hand, again, I'm not going to keep arguing with you. Because you guys all have the same soundbite sentence. I encourage you to get involved locally. If you actually care about Black communities and asking these spammy questions, then get involved. Get involved. It's the same two statements over and over again. Get it? And here's the thing. I don't know who is spoon-fed these things, but if you get involved with local communities and educate yourself on what's actually happening and get involved and actually vote on issues that matter on a local level, then something can be changed. Then change can be created. If you make statements like all lives matter or white lives matter over and over again, one, it shows that you don't understand what Black Lives Matter represents or what it stands for or what its goals or aims are. And two, you're deflecting. And three, if that is truly how you feel and you want to create change for all lives or white lives, start locally, make a difference. So, on that note, I'm sorry about that, Jarvis. Will this document be provided on social media? It will be. I need to edit a few things. And then there was something I wanted to add to it about voting. I think it will be included on like Witness, but I understand this is a lot of information, witness.org. I understand this is a lot of information, and a lot of these websites each have information upon information upon information, or resources upon resources upon resources. And I know it can become overwhelming, and that was the goal in compiling this, is at least it's all in one place. So even if you start somewhere, you can go back later. And so, but that being said, I do want to put something about voting in here to make it more accessible. But I know a couple of these websites provided do go into voting issues. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of bullet point that so it's more accessible, so you see it if like that's a concern you have, like I'm being suppressed, or I'm having trouble registering, or somebody tried to turn me away from the poll. You know, all of these issues that happen time and time again. Then I'll make that a bullet point, so you guys have that resource available more easily. So That's the one change that I'll make. I need to eat. I know this is a stressful time for everybody. Stay strong. Please use your voice to speak out against racism. Please use your voice to unite people. To vote, to encourage others to vote. And another action you can take is start with this anti-racism resource. I already posted this on social media, on Twitter. So you can even just start there. So I will be posting this on social media. This one is already online, but the main document that I did today, I have not posted, but I will. More of their own people have died. Again, you guys come in here with the same statements, the same tired racist statements. If you care about people dying, whether it's by the hands of police or by their own brethren, speak up. Vote. Educate yourself as to why communities are so disenfranchised. Dad jokes, dad jokes, dad jokes. Okay. Vote for what? Well, all of the problems that we're seeing across the country aren't just going to be changed on a federal level. We touched on that a couple of times. So there's always a lot of excitement for presidential elections, but then it kind of dwindles down and people ignore and don't think that their local elections are so important, but they're incredibly important. They're incredibly important. So vote. Get people to register to vote. Young people complain all the time about issues, and then you find out they're not voting. Yes. End the stream. Go eat. Yeah. Good idea. Thanks for sticking around for those of you that did. I'm just going to leave this link in chat for now, even though I already... defund the police. Still sleeper. What would you vote for differently in Minnesota? It's blue as can be. It's blue as can be in California, but we have terrible policies. Terrible policies. So vote for more progressive district attorneys. That's something you can do. So there you go. That's the one that I shared last week. And I don't know why it's coming up like that, but that's a good place to start. And then I'll share the main document later. So have a good night or day, everybody, wherever you are. Stay safe. And please, please, please use your voices for something positive. And how can a district attorney be progressive? Shouldn't they be following the law by prosecuting killer cops? That's what they can do. But many of them are backed and supported by police unions. So I'm not sure when I'll be back quite yet. But there you go. And once again, thanks for watching. Check out that link I blasted. And I will post this. It's like 10 p.m. now. If I can't sleep, I will finish working on this and post this main document tonight. Otherwise, I'll be posting it tomorrow. So that's it. Thanks again, everybody. Stay safe.